Hello beautiful earth angels, welcome to my channel. My name is Joanna. If you are new to this channel or this type of information, welcome. I hope you stay. I hope you find whatever you hear enjoyable. My aim and my intention is very simple. It's to help you recognize the truth of yourself. In other words, my greatest passion and intention is to help you realize your own power. So if I can do that, even just a little bit, I have done my part. If you would like to share this information, I would love you to. The more people have an awareness of their own true power, the more our consciousness changes, I believe, for the better. So thank you for doing your part. If you are coming back, thank you for coming back. There must be something that, excuse me, draws you in. Thank you for staying. Let's see what this next little while is going to bring for us. I am being asked to, oh geez, before I forget, thank you. I have been gently prodded to offer a live webinar on July 21st, so it's going to happen on July 21st. It is guiding you, potentially you, through a powerful meditation and helping you connect with your higher consciousness, higher power, higher wisdom. We are past the 6-month mark of 2021. It is a very pivotal year, and it was suggested to me that this is a perfect time to ask for higher guidance, guidance that comes from beyond our knowledge, beyond our conscious awareness. And so if you are interested in connecting with your higher self or to getting wisdom or insight from higher perspectives, then there's a link down below. And if you are a subscriber to Joanna the Healer, and there's a link below, there's also a coupon that will be emailed to you or may have been emailed to you. So if you are into that kind of stuff, I'd love you to join. Thank you so much. Was there something else? They're saying the purpose why I'm doing this in the first place is so that more people get to be more connected with themselves. So the more I offer these types of webinars where my team can literally guide you through me as a vessel and help you connect with yourself, the more people can do that, the more we become humans who are much more connected, not only to ourselves, but to Mother Earth, and we perhaps stop taking things for granted. I feel like there's a message there that says we, collectively speaking, perhaps take things for granted. Perhaps we don't pay enough attention to how incredible Mother Earth is, and we don't give it a second thought. Every single one of us does that. I do it too. But if we can have a moment or two in our daily lives to bring awareness to what we do get from Mother Earth, and if we didn't get that thing, how our lives would be different and generally not in a better way, then that begins to foster a conscious appreciation of Mother Earth. And the more we are conscious beings, the more or the higher we vibrate. The higher we vibrate, the closer we are to the truest essence of the idea of love. It is not the type of love that humans experience. It is way beyond our human comprehension, but it is essentially like glue that holds everything in existence together, and we are all a part of it. It is all a part of us, and the more conscious we are, the more we are aware of that, and that is truly where your power is. Okay? So expressing gratitude is very important. I don't think you need me to tell you that. Everyone knows that. Not everybody practices it. And not only that, even when we do practice it, often we practice it like an autopilot. We go through the motions. We say, yes, I'm grateful. Those are words, those are thoughts. But oftentimes, when we mindlessly recite a gratitude statement, there's no feeling attached. And the idea here is to connect, and we connect through feelings. So it is important that whatever we say has, to give it more meaning, it's important that it has a feeling or emotion attached to it. And that is essentially a building block of the law of attraction, a building block of creation, a building block of manifestation. So how did I get to this point? Yes, so energy-wise, here's what you might be experiencing, or what you may shortly be experiencing. These are my experiences that I'm being asked to share. And whenever I'm being asked to share, it's always because there's you potentially and many others who feel the same way I do, but because it feels weird to them, they feel that it may feel weird to other people, and somehow there will be a judgment. So they don't express how they feel. And when I'm being open about how I feel during these processes of awakening, the more I can share with you how I feel, the more chances are that when you feel the way I feel, you don't feel so alone. Once again, here's the idea of connection. So, as I was tuning into the energy today, by the way, I had no idea what we were going to talk about, which I want to say two things about that. One, I am practicing embodying more detachment. I think I talked about that in my last video. That's one of my intentions that I have been intending upon for the last few weeks. And the idea basically is I choose to embody less attachment. Of course, I'm going to have attachments. I'm in a human body. We need attachment for safety, security. I'm talking anything that limits me. So, to not really have an idea what I'm going to talk about in my next session is practicing detachment. But let me tell you, my ego does not like that, because it wants to know. It wants to know what it's going to do, what it's going to say. It wants to have time to analyze if whatever it is going to say is going to be the right thing to say. So I'm experiencing this strange kind of a phenomenon where I literally feel like I'm pivoting between two realities. As a matter of fact, it came to me that we are in a very pivotal moment. We are halfway through the mark of 2021. It is a year of profound change. So was 2020, but 2021 is when a lot of new things are being implemented in order to restructure, rebuild. And I almost want to say, and I want to say, but I don't want to say, it feels to me energetically, as far as the whole medical situation that's happening, it feels that we are past the worst point. Don't quote me on it. I have no way of corroborating that, but it kind of feels to me that way. So if that's the case, and I hope that it is, then I want to say yes, because that means that we are moving more and more into the rebuilding stage. So why rebuild? Well, we rebuild because something has been collapsed, something changed. We rebuild because something needs to rebuilding. And if you're watching this, you yourself are in a space of probably rebuilding some part of your life. It doesn't have to be a physical aspect of your life. It could just be something, it could be something that's internal to you. But the idea of rebuilding is to bring back structure. Okay? So many of us are in between structures right now. And structure meaning many things. But when I talk about structure, for me personally, it's the structure in terms of how I work, how I see myself, how I see the world. That is my structure. That's my foundation. And I feel myself being almost like between two different worlds. One where I am aware of what I've always been aware of, and there's this other part of me that is questioning what I'm aware of. It's a very bizarre thing. And and that feels very pivotal for some reason. And then I'm realizing as I'm saying this to you now that to let go of the past is to detach. So what does it mean to let go of the past? It's to, well, I want to say one way is to, you don't use your past as your frame of reference anymore. On some things you do, but maybe some things you don't. And if you don't use your past as your frame of reference, what then do you use as frame of reference? Because we generally want to have some frame of reference. Otherwise, we have to trust. So I'm in between these two worlds where there's a part of me that's questioning everything the old way. And there's a part of me that wants to shift into this other reality where there's no attachments, or relatively less attachments. And that's equally as scary. So maybe scary is not the right word, but it's very uncomfortable. So I'm in this space, and if I'm in this space, many of you are too. If not, you will be very shortly, where you're kind of sort of somewhere in the middle. You're not quite sure where you are. Life is okay, could be better, could be worse. There's no really massive ups or downs. For some of you, maybe, but that's not what I'm feeling. Yet, we are just kind of feeling blah. And what I want to say about that it feels like this blah is almost like a break. We are due for some break mentally, emotionally. We have been under a lot of stress and pressure. And this break, so to speak, it feels, well, one, it's necessary. Why are breaks necessary? Breaks are necessary to refuel, right? To readjust if necessary. So if you are feeling this sort of, it does not mean that nothing is happening or something bad is happening or nothing good is happening. It just means that you are momentarily in a space of just still. Okay? And so nothing is really happening. Maybe you're not even sure what your intention should be. If you're in that kind of a void almost, if I could call it that, be okay with it for a moment. It's not an overly comfortable place to be because it feels like a void. Just imagine being in a void. I would say most people would find it, at least at first, very uncomfortable. But if you think about it, the void has no attachment. So we are definitely shifting into an energy that is a lot less detached, or a lot less attached. There's a lot more attachments, a lot less attachment to the ego, a lot less attachment to what are people going to say. In general, a lot less pull on our energies. I want to use those words. So if you are feeling momentarily still, I'm repeating myself again, but for some reason I want to say it. Just know that it's okay for you to be in this space. Okay? If you have a whole bunch of things happening, then this message is not for you. And I'm not talking a long-term dragged out stillness. I'm talking, few days, maybe a couple of weeks where you're just kind of feeling, nah. I feel like we need this break. Now, this break is interesting because I feel that right after this break, there's a brand new beginning. So on the other side of this blah, there seems to be a new beginning or a new door opening. So I'm going to say, for all of you who are watching, there's a pretty good chance that on some level, at some point in your near future, over the next, I want to say 3 months, don't think it's years, but 3 months or so, there are opportunities that will open for you. Now, the question is, will these opportunities open for you if you just sit around and do nothing? No, because your part is still required in order to attract these opportunities. So what you want to focus on is to become the attractor to whatever opportunities you would like to have presented to you. Okay? For example, if you want a better paying job, I'm just going to throw that in there. And you don't have one, then you need to become a attractor to that energy. In other words, the position of higher paying, with higher paying salary, has a certain feel to you as a person. If you can find a way, and yes you can, but if you can find a way to imagine what that feeling is like, and then learn to hold that feeling within you for as long as you can, then you are becoming more of an attractor to that situation. Okay? And then let go of the idea of how and when, because I always say, when you put an order through to the universe, you have to let the universe do its part. So some things are out of your jurisdiction in terms of knowing. Some things you just, you just, I don't want to say you're not meant to know. Some things are just better left to the universe to figure out. So if you want something to do, if you're feeling blocked, but you're not quite sure what to do with it, maybe make your intention more clear to yourself. What is your intention? What do you want at the end of this day? What do you want at the end of a day? Any day, today, 2 years from now, 10 years from now. I'm presuming whatever it is you want at the end of the day is something good, right? And whatever that is, it has a feeling attached to it. Remember the feelings we talked about at the very beginning? Start becoming more consciously aware of that feeling that you are wanting to, that you are intending on having. And that's how you will magnetize this intention to you. This is how it's being shown to me. And it's literally becoming a magnet. And I know we know that. We talk about it all the time. We talk about law of attraction. But the magic ingredient is in the feeling. It's in the emotion. It's in the well, you get the picture, right? All right. So you might feel restless, up in the air, unfocused. But even though I've been feeling all these things, I don't feel blue. It's not like I feel depressed or anything like that. No, it's more of a, it's actually funny enough, more of a detached feeling that I'm experiencing. So even though I do feel restless and unfocused, I'm not as embodying these states as I'm used to embodying. That's interesting. As I'm saying this to you, I'm becoming aware of it. I get my aha moments when I record videos, which is what I love. So these are some of the things that you might be experiencing or are currently experiencing. The other thing I started to notice, and again, it's me sharing my experience because it's probably going to be you next. I'm becoming aware that how I identify myself is changing. And I'm becoming consciously aware of this. Example, I will, well, for one, I'll have a conversation with somebody, and that somebody in the past would trigger me. And I've noticed as recently as a couple of days ago that the same person having similar conversation didn't trigger me, or sorry, I will say the trigger was 90% less. And I was kind of watching myself thinking, nice. Because you know when you're in a situation and you get triggered by a certain person and they touch certain points in you, and all of a sudden that trigger is almost non-existent, and you're just like, wow, that means something has shifted. So that is what I'm experiencing. And I have to admit, when I see the evidence of that, which is in my awareness, it feels pretty special. It doesn't feel forced. It's not like I'm trying to behave or act out a different way. It's happening from unconsciously. And when I see that happening in front of my eyes, it shows me how much I've grown in that particular area. So expect yourself to notice these things, and they might feel amplified to you. We are collectively learning a lot of lessons right now, all at the same time. And all these lessons are very connected to our levels of consciousness. The more we can grasp the lessons, I don't like that word, but the more wisdom we can gain from our experiences, the more tools we have going forward in order so that we can experience other experiences. So we are collectively in almost like in a graduating point, and every person who is part of consciousness has to do his or her part. And how you identify yourself is part of your consciousness. So for example, if you are used to identifying yourself as insecure, I'll just use that analogy because it's very simple or straightforward. If you are used to identifying yourself as insecure on some level, that will reduce your level of vibration. The higher we vibrate, the more conscious we are, or the more conscious we are, the more aware we are, the higher we vibrate. I don't know which one comes first, but they go hand in hand. So when you notice that you do things differently now than before, and it's in a positive way, and it happens to you kind of like you happen to notice that all of a sudden you're responding very differently, that's when you pat yourself on the back and say, I did well. So I want you to become aware of those things, because those are your nuggets of gold. This is where you begin to see the value of all those hard lessons, all the experiences, all the challenges that you've been going through. Because when it happens on an unconscious level, it means something permanent has taken place, which means you're not consciously making a choice or decision to react a certain way. It is happening from inside of you. It's an inside job. And when we collectively have that shift, the entire consciousness of planet Earth shifts. Okay? How we identify ourselves is beginning to change, okay, with greater degree of detachment. So again, what you might start noticing is, for example, in the past when other people's opinions would bother you, especially if they were different than your own, you might notice that they don't bother you as much. That shows a lowered level of attachment to what other people think or what other people say, or how what other people think or say affects you. Because we all get affected to some degree, it's just how much. So with greater detachment comes shift of identity. Again, I have been intending on that for a while, and I am seeing these changes in me as they're happening, and sometimes they're not very comfortable, but I believe that's where the freedom is. It's to detach from, be less attached to the ego. I always say ego is important. Never bash the ego, because the moment you try bashing the ego, it's going to really show its true colors. So with having said that, one last thing I'll share with you that was presented for the collective message. The idea of gray wolf. Now, wolf in general, I know in shamanism, it is a power of strength, courage, leadership. There's so many beautiful, what's the word, please? Essences that are carried with the gray wolf. But wolves are pack animals, pack leaders, which means they live in pack. Their chances of survival on their own are very low. And there's it feels like we are developing more of that mentality. Togetherness, yes, that makes perfect sense. So if you're interested as to what the gray wolf represents, or wolf in general, do a little bit of research, and perhaps there's a message in this for you, okay? Wolves are very connected. They're very closely connected to the idea of spirit. It's a very shamanic symbol. If this resonates with you, if wolf resonates with you on some level, or it shows up in your life somehow, and now I'm saying it, then there's a significant message in it for you. Loyalty is another word that I'm getting. Okay, all right. Let's move on with individual piles. By the way, before I go there, it is important for me, apparently, to say that we are all inherently very powerful manifestors. We may not feel powerful. We may not be aware of our true power, but it doesn't mean that we are not powerful. So oftentimes, to realize our power is through sheer awareness. What I want to say is, to every single person who's watching, including me, don't shy away from higher awareness. Don't shy away from seeing the bigger truth. Don't shy away from seeing a bigger picture. Sometimes seeing the bigger picture can feel very scary. For one, our relationship with whatever it is we're looking at begins to change. And everything in our experience is about relating. You know yourself in relation to, right? But anyway, and hence why the identity is shifting and changing. So, the more aware you are of yourself and your faults, which are part of your identity, the less likely you are to fall prey to them, which means the less likely that those parts of your identity will control you. It's like if you have an inner battle with some inner monster. I don't know why this analogy is coming up, but that's what I want to say. If you have an inner monster inside of you, and we all do, and you are fighting this monster, rather than fighting this monster, first ask the monster, why is it there in the first place? What is its function there? What is its purpose in your life? Why is it there? Because if it doesn't belong there, then why is it there? And then you can start more of a collaboration with that part of you rather than a war. And what ends up happening is that you begin to create a new relationship with your monster. And what ends up happening is that the monster begins to change, and it's no longer a monster. It begins to actually become your friend. And that is when you begin to take your power back by not fighting against yourself. We're all of us are in this internal inner conflict. It's part of, I believe, human nature. But the less conflict we have, the better. Okay? Besides, when there is a lot of conflict or turmoil, there is generally relatively less peace. And we all know we want peace. I don't think I've met a person who says, I don't want peace. Maybe not 24/7. You want some excitement, but in generally, we want to have peace. We want to have peace of mind, right? The more we are at conflict with ourselves, the more we are at war with ourselves, the less peace we have internally. Okay, so this is a very big one. Releasing the inner monsters, whatever that is for you. All right. Pile number 1. We have rejoice in celebration. We have a leg up, and we have water. Okay. The leg up comes up in reverse position. So let me just feel this out for you. The celebration to me represents a gathering of people coming together, celebrating something that is being worked on, where many pieces come together, or for the purpose of one goal or one intention. And I feel, if you're listening to this, that you are one of those pieces, or you are somehow part of this organization. Now, this could be anything. You work for a company that had a goal to accomplish certain something, and then many people had to come together, and you, at the end of the day, accomplished the goal, and the company is celebrating. It's that kind of a feel with it. It's very, as the card obviously depicts, it's very celebratory. It's very happy. It's very content. However, what I also want to say this, but something isn't finished yet. Perhaps you are celebrating a major milestone. It could be anything. Could be graduation, could be a wedding, could be a baby, could be a career move. There is a step up, but if this applies to you, whatever it is, that's not the end. There is more. This is what I get from this message. So I don't feel it's going to apply to all of you. It's going to apply to some of you. But if it does apply to you, then take it. Okay? That doesn't mean anything good or bad. It just means you haven't arrived. Rather, you are at a stopover. That's how I want to say it. Everything is a journey. Remember that. Everything is a journey. There is no such thing as destination. Destination is when you shed your body and then you move on. But everything is a journey. Okay? Now, we obviously have destinations where we want to go. Yes, all those 3D functions, I understand. But as far as more of the spiritual view of things, it's a journey. It's not about the destination. Okay? So you are celebrating something, whether it's yours or somebody else's. There is very much a collective celebration of something happening. Now, I'm just being reminded that I'm recording this on July 2nd. So there was Canada Day on July 1st, and July 4th is the Day of Independence, or in the US. So that could be it, but I feel that this is a much bigger message than that. The leg up to me is an interesting message because it shows me that there may be a reluctance to asking for help from somebody. Perhaps asking for help from outside of your group. Perhaps asking for help in general. Being concerned that if you do ask for help, it's somehow going to make you seem weak. I mean, yes, we used to think that way. That's an outdated way of looking at it. But those are very real concerns. If you are having difficulty with asking for help, I would like you to consider looking into the reasons why. Why is this difficulty there? Because you were not born that way. So if there is resistance to you receiving help, and perhaps the door to receiving is closed and it needs to be more open. Perhaps you don't like asking for help because on some level you don't feel like you deserve help. Now this would be something that's generally unconscious. However, it can become conscious once we start looking into it. It will not be visible on a very basic surface level. So this is a message for those of you who are reluctant or resistant to asking for help. If this is you, examine the reason why. It could be that you've asked for help before and it didn't work out in your favor, or the price was too high. Whatever it was, there is resistance to it. And if there is a resistance to it, you must have a reason on some level. As long as you have a reason to resist, you will be resisting. And I believe that we experience the greatest amount of discomfort, which also equals pain on many levels, because of resistance. Okay? So if you are having difficulty asking for help, examine reasons why. Remember, this is a very pivotal moment in our lives. Resistance signifies there is some sort of a mechanism inside of you that is not on board with whatever is happening. And it would be in your best interest to tune into the reason why. Because it's a very pivotal time of our lives, you recognizing that mechanism can very much change it, and therefore no longer project your past onto your future. I kept saying this before, and it's being brought up again. The higher up you move up in energy, the stronger your abilities in terms of manifesting. And the universe doesn't care what we manifest or don't manifest. The universe works based on frequency. It'll give you what you put out. So this would be a very good time for you to look at those parts of you that perhaps are not allowing you to be more of yourself, and go to the reasons why. Uncover the reasons why. And then, when you find out the reasons why, see what you can gain from it. This is about, for some of you, this receiving part is something to do with independence. You are, there's something to do with independence and codependence. So if you have any issues with receiving, it might be connected to dependence or codependence or independence. That's just what came to me. So I don't want to overtalk it, but that seems to be a big theme. The water card to me symbolizes that it feels like there's either you have just dealt with something emotionally quite big, or you are going to be facing emotionally quite substantial. However, it does not feel like it's bad, but it's big. Big to the point where it can feel overwhelming. So you might find yourself in situations where you, for whatever reason, feel overwhelmed. Too much stimulation. I mean, it could be so many different things. It seems to, for some of you, come up out of nowhere. It's like this wave of energy. It actually what happened to me a couple of weeks ago, I think. So that's part of us receiving higher frequency. We get overwhelmed sometimes. It's like a wave of energy. But so that's what I feel for some of you. You will be either expect to feel some big energies, or you might be feeling a little bit overwhelmed. Okay? But I don't, the water feels clear to me, which means even though you might feel overwhelmed, it's it's the type of overwhelm that feels good. Thank you. It's the type of overwhelm that feels good. And I have been overwhelmed before with love and stuff, and it's an interesting feeling. So it's that kind of a thing. There's absolutely nothing negative I get here, but overwhelming, and that can be uncomfortable. All right. So what's the biggest takeaway from pile number 1? Learn how to receive graciously. Learn how to receive graciously. I'm not going to say anything other than that. Learn how to receive graciously. Okay? And perhaps by learning how to receive graciously, you will be celebrating. Okay? So that's pile number 1. All right. Pile number 2. I'm hearing, what do you want for yourself? What do you want for yourself? Image it and get it. Now, easier said than done, right? But remember, pretty much, I think anything that we want to we want to manifest, or what we intend on, it has a feeling behind it. So if you can imagine your intention or whatever it is that you're after, if you can imagine it and the feeling that goes with it, and if you can allow yourself to be that feeling, to resonate at that vibration, then somehow you will attract it to you. You will go out and get it. You will be moved by your intuition. You'll feel more guided. Things will come easier to you. There will be a lot less resistance. Remember, everything starts or begins in the mind. Everything. Now, whether you are conscious of it or not, that's a different story. My job is to help you be more conscious. And that means I have to learn how to be more conscious. I have to become more conscious. I cannot help you be more conscious if I am not conscious of my unconsciousness. Okay? So that's how I want to start with you. But we've got conflict and despair. We've got imagine. And we've got the witness. Okay? This would be the typical 5 of Swords reversed. Okay? What I hear is the worst is over. Remember I said that at the very beginning in a general message? So if you've been going through some turmoil, if things have been, I want to say unbearable or bad, I want to say the worst is over. And I don't even like saying that because it feels like something terrible has happened, but the world is dealing with some funky stuff. And when I say funky, I don't mean to diminish anything. So there's no doubt that you or someone you know has been experiencing dark night of the soul in whatever capacity, through whatever means. But I do feel the worst is over. Now, how will you know that that's the case? When your mind begins to become more clear. So what I feel is all of a sudden, except it's not all of a sudden, it's gradual, but it feels like over the next, I want to say 6 to 7 weeks or months. I don't usually get timelines this specific, so that's interesting. What I get is a gradual upliftment in one's mood and energy levels. And I want to say that if you are listening to this, chances are you have gone through some depressed times. Maybe you've dealt with some depression, you had bouts with depression came back. But it feels like your mind is getting clearer and clearer. So if that is not the case yet, then you can expect your mind to become clearer as time goes on. Okay, so that's very important for me to say, because I know what it's like to be in that kind of a space. It's not very uplifting. The Witness, in reverse, all I get from that is stop hiding, stop hiding, stop hiding. Okay, I want to say stop hiding your accounts. I don't know who this is for. It's obviously very specific if it's just for one person. But I want to say stop hiding your accounts. I don't know if it's bank accounts, if it's work accounts. Stop hiding your accounts. And it has to do, again, with independence. There is some of you that are hiding your accounts from whomever. I don't know what it is. I don't want to dive into it further because it then becomes literally for one person. But if you're hiding your accounts, if this is hitting you right smack in the middle, then there is something in that. Then there's something in investigate your reasons to hide. And ask yourself if it's worth it. Investigate your reasons to hide and ask yourself if it's worth it. Very, very specific message. For others of you is basically a message of try not to blend in so much. In other words, be okay with standing out. Be okay with being unique. Be okay with just being you the way you are. You don't have to hide or you don't have to pretend to be something you're not. And obviously that's a message that everybody understands. But if you're listening to this, if it kind of resonates with you on some level, then remember, this is a very pivotal time right now, which means when you can recognize parts of yourself that have been dragging you down and you can work on that and shift that around, then you are moving into an energy that is much far quicker in manifesting, but without all the heaviness, okay? So pile number 2, it has a lot to do with an aspect of hiding, whether you are hiding accounts, or you are hiding yourself, or you are hiding your talents, or you are hiding your gifts, whatever it is. Look at the reasons behind your hiding. Obviously, it usually has to do with safety, but really tune into what that is for you. Because if you have any false perceptions around that, and you can become aware of it, then you can fundamentally shift how you move forward in terms of how you live your life. So that is a big message for pile number 2. Okay. Pile number 3. Patience, round and round, and the rainmaker. Okay. These seem to be very substantial messages, energy. So the patience is temperance. What I'm getting is you're learning how to balance. You are learning how to be less reactive and more adaptive. Ooh, I like that. Which means if you are less reactive and more adaptive, you are less likely functioning from a place of fear and anxiety. Okay? It also means that you have developed some levels of trust with you and with the universe. It goes hand in hand. Okay? It also means that you are reflecting a lot, have been reflecting a lot, or it would be a really good idea for you to start reflect a lot. Why? Because when you reflect, you can see. Okay? Generally, in order to deal with something effectively, you first have to see it. So if you are trying to solve a problem, for example, but you don't know what constitutes the problem, then it's going to be very difficult for you to solve the problem. Not only that, in order for you to solve a problem, you have to move past the energy where the problem was first created. I believe that's an Einstein theory. Okay? So another message is you are developing a lot more compassion towards yourselves and consequently to others. Okay? I see an image of someone, a little dog running up to you. I don't know if you like dogs, love dogs, want a dog, or dogs just randomly run up to you because you're such a lovable person. There's a dog with longish ears and it's shorter to the ground. I don't know who this message is for, but the dog piece is very important. Okay. I wonder if some of you are attached to your dog too much. Example, I'm asking, what's the example? Let's say you walk with a dog and then when you see another dog approaching, you take your dog up your arms and you hold it and you try to take it, move away from the situation. What I want to say is you're not letting the dog to be the dog. The dog needs to learn how to position itself in a social setting. So I feel like this is a message for maybe just one person, that you need to, it would be suggested that you help your dog socialize more with other dogs. Okay? I have no idea who this message is for, but if it's for you, write it down. I would love that. Okay? But this is a beautiful message that also speaks to me of independence, emotional independence. Okay? What is also prominent about this message is that you are looking at the seeds. Seeds. What is in the seed? Potential. Okay? So we are looking at our potential. I don't know how that's going to translate, but we're looking at our potential, or you are looking at your potentials. You're not looking at the limits, you're looking at your potentials. And that's a very different way of perceiving. Okay? Round and Round is about been there, done that, but now you can see it from a higher perspective. So it feels like you are ending a cycle. You've completed a cycle, you are completing a cycle, and you can find yourself in a space that, although familiar, you are seeing it from a different perspective. I hope that's going to make sense. And because of it, you will, whatever the situation is, you will move eventually out of it. And this feels to me very much like completion of cycles. But we are in a big, massive cycle right now. So, you know, I don't know which comes next or which comes first. Okay, but what I get is been there, done that, but now you can see it from higher perspective. It also means if you find yourself in a similar situation, how can you respond to it in a different way? Or if you find yourself in a similar situation, can you respond to it versus reacting? Okay, this is about coming to a point where you are dealing or managing a situation much more effectively than you have in the past. Okay? Let's say you have a conversation with your boss, and in the past, you would have been very shy, very timid. That's just an example. Very shy, very timid, you wouldn't say much. But now you are feeling more aligned with yourself, you're less afraid, you're more able to speak for yourself, and you actually say, well, you know, that's wonderful, I appreciate your point of view, here's my point of view. You actually have a conversation where it's a meaningful conversation and it's an exchange, equal exchange. So you are still dealing with the boss, but you're dealing with him or her differently. That's the sort of thing. Of course, it could be any other situation as well, but that's what comes up to my mind, okay? The Rainmaker gives me this message. Your abilities are not in question. What is questioned is your trust in your abilities. So here's what I have for pile number 3. Do you believe that you have abilities? Yes or no? If the answer is no, then we have to just turn off this screen and just part ways, because of course you have abilities. You have a gazillion abilities. You don't necessarily think of them as that. Okay? So if you have abilities, then that means you have abilities to manifest. Now, how much do you trust in your abilities? How much do you trust in your own power? How much do you believe that you can actually attain, given the right circumstances, the right set of mind, the right mental and emotional conditioning? In other words, how much of your potential can you see? And what would be required of you in order to live out that potential? And always remember that if you point to the outside, you're looking in the wrong direction. It's always within. In other words, who would you have to become in order to live up your potential? Okay? And every single person has to do it, him or herself individually. So what you decide your potential is, doesn't mean that's your potential, but that's your parameter. It has a lot to do with believing in your potential and believing in yourself, which can, which then manifests in what you attract into your life. So for message for pile number 3, I want to say that you are, amongst all the 3 cards, all the 3 piles, the 3rd pile feels like the biggest change or the biggest opportunity to change a behavior, a pattern, a set of circumstances, the way you communicate, the way you embrace or not embrace. That is what I feel. Is there anything else? September seems somehow significant, and or the number 9. 9 to me always signifies letting go. Well, we are at a pivotal moment. So if there's things that you need to let go of, or people, or circumstances, or thoughts, and patterns, there's no time like the present. And by doing so now, or at least being aware of this, we have the greatest opportunity to actually make it real, to actually realize it. I believe I said this in the last video. If there's anything that you're intending on, first be clear with your intention. And make sure that your intention matches your inner intention. In other words, what is your truth about your intention? If those two are aligned, then you are on the path to manifesting it. It's just a matter of time. So just focus on that. Just know that it's going to happen. If you are in misalignment, then you have to come into an alignment, which means know your truth about what you are trying to manifest. And if your truth is opposite of what you're trying to manifest, then you have to either change what you're manifesting or shift your truth. And you'll shift your truth by shifting your perspective. Of course, if you would like help with that, my team seems to be an expert at that. Okay, so that is it for pile number 3. And that is all what I have for you. So whenever you see this, whatever time of year or month, that's the right message for you. But I am recording it on the 2nd of July. So happy belated Canada Day and happy Independence Day, USA Day. Okay? If you would like to make some comments, please do. I love reading your comments. Read every single one. Of course, the live event is on July 21st. If you want to connect with higher wisdom, that information is down below. And I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.